It doesn't matter how prepared you think you are, moving to Turkey or in reality to any other country in the world is very challenging. And of course, it will be full of surprises and situations that some of them will be bad, but some others will be good. So that is why in this video, I want to share with you some things that you need to keep in mind before moving to Turkey. Don't move to Turkey if you expect to earn good money. Trust me, many people come to this country believing that they are going to have a good salary, that everything is going to be fine, that everything maybe will be better than in their own countries. But the reality in Turkey is so different. And you shouldn't expect that because the economy situation is quite bad currently in Turkey, and also the salaries are bad, including for foreigners and also especially for Turkish citizens. So this is something that you need to get rid of, that if you want to have a good salary and earn good money, maybe Turkey is not your choice for that. Don't move to Turkey if you expect it to be as affordable as before. Now, this is something that I have seen a lot of on social media, including TikTok and Instagram. Many people coming from other countries, especially the US or any European country, they come to Turkey and of course they are sharing their personal experience. And I have seen some TikToks that, to be honest, and I will be so open with this topic, they kind of trigger me because they said, Turkey is so affordable, is super cheap. I can even have the life in this country that I couldn't have back in my country. But trust me, this is not the reality of probably 85% of people living in the country, especially for Turkish citizens. So saying that the country is very cheap, is very affordable, is a total lie, unless you're earning in a foreign currency like euro or US dollars. This is something that really you need to keep in mind. The country is not cheap, it's not affordable, and even right now the locals are really struggling for even affording the most basic things. So no, saying that the country is cheap and that you will have a better life, no, you will not, especially if you're earning in the local currency. The flats, rents, the groceries, even the most basic needs, they have really skyrocket in prices. So don't expect the country to be that cheap as before. Now you really need to earn really good money in order to survive in this country. Don't move to Turkey if you're gonna earn in the local currency. And this brings me back to my previous points that unless you are earning in a foreign currency, dollars or euros, then yeah, it could be very helpful for you because you can really enjoy your life in the country. But other than that, no, earning right now in the Turkish lira, because we all know the current situation in the country, that the Turkish lira day by day is losing its value. So no, don't do it if you're gonna earn in the local currency, unless that the Turkish company is going to pay you a really good salary, that even after paying for your rent, your monthly expenses, if you're gonna have at least more than half of that left for you, then yes, it's a good thing. But if you're gonna have just a bit left over, really don't do it. Don't move to Turkey if you don't have enough savings. Right now the situation in the country has totally changed. The game is so different from so many years ago, when it's not as before as when I came here. So right now you really need to keep in mind that as soon as you come to the country, you are going to need a lot of money to pay for all of the expenses that you need to really pay in order to legally live in the country. So for example, in first place, if you want your residence permit, also known as ikamet, you have to pay. First, you need to find for a flat for rent. So also many landlords nowadays, they are asking even for a full year payment for that flat, especially for foreigners. So imagine, let's say that you can find a flat for 10,000 liras monthly. So they are going to ask you, not all of them of course, but there are so many that are asking that nowadays, that they are gonna ask you for 1 year up front. So you need to consider that, also a deposit, Also the commission for the agent, because most of them work only with agents, so you need to keep all of those expenses in mind. Also for your phone registration, because let's remember that after 120 days that you have been in the country, your email number will be blocked. You're not going to be able to use it. So you need to pay for the registration tax that I think now in 2023 is a little bit over 6,000 liras per phone. So there are many expenses. Also the ikamet, that maybe right now it might be like 3,000 to 4,000 Turkish liras. I'm not quite sure. You need to pay for the notary, for translations, and insurance, of course, to apply for the residence permit. So there are so many expenses. Another thing is that, and I just learned this information from one dear Colombian friend that I met with recently, and she just applied for her residence permit, and luckily she was approved about 3 weeks ago. She applied for a touristy residence permit, and she had to show in her bank account, in a Turkish bank account, a total of 10,000 Turkish liras per month. So she applied for the 1-year residence permit, so she had to show in her bank account 100,000 Turkish liras. So that is another huge expense. Don't move to Turkey if you're not willing to learn the local language. And this is Turkish. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, my Turkish is not perfect, my Turkish is not the best, but you are going to need it to survive. Even though that maybe you're working at a school or you are working in a company where most of people might speak English or even your native language, is not enough. At some point, you really need to learn the Turkish if you really want to interact with locals and make it outside on the streets. And trust me, also that way you will be able to interact more with locals and you will be able to absorb about the beautiful Turkish culture. Don't move to Turkey if you're not willing to understand their culture, traditions, and customs. And I say this because let's remember that as foreigners in Turkey, we are guests. We shouldn't try to impose our lifestyle, way of living, our beliefs to their own culture. So I believe that in our case, we are the ones who should adapt to their place, to their culture and everything, if we really want to live for a year or maybe longer in Turkey. So this is something very important, because also I have seen many people just smashing on the country and like, oh, Turkey this, the Turks are this, the Turks are that. But this is not how it should be. If you're really trying to move here, try to understand the culture, try to interact more with Turkish people, with locals as well, and you're going to be able to understand much better the place. Don't move to Turkey if you're just going to be criticizing the country, smashing on it, and just seeing the negative side of the country. And I'm going to continue with my previous point. I know that the country is not perfect. Also, there are negative things as in any other country in the world. Just tell me something. What country is 100% perfect? Everywhere you will see very positive things, and also you will find negative things. This is totally normal. So if you're going to be seeing only the negative side of the country, then just don't move here, because yeah, the country, as I said, it can get quite chaotic, it can be a bit unorganized, but at some point that's also part of the experience. You know, everything is a whole experience. We are learning about the country, the culture, the people, everything. At first it is fascinating, sometimes it can get a little bit like it's a bit too much, but let's try to be tolerant and let's respect their country as well. Don't move to Turkey if you haven't found a job beforehand. And right now, because the situation is not as easy as some years ago, that many people were coming to the country and they were looking for a job once in Turkey. But right now things have changed. It's not as easy as before. So if you do that, you might encounter a very rough situation, that maybe you will take longer to find a job, maybe your savings of course will finish faster, and at some point probably it could also happen that maybe, let's be realistic, that maybe you will not find a job at all and that you might have to go somewhere else. So this is an advice that I want to really give everybody. Do an extensive research. look online everywhere and try to apply from your home country to some jobs. Many of them really do that. They hire people from their home country to bring them to Turkey, and even they do all the procedure to get these working visa beforehand, and then they can come to the country. So try to do that so you will not struggle that much once in the country, that first you come, then you look, and maybe you cannot find something. Don't move to Turkey if you are somebody who easily feels homesick. And this is in general, not just in Turkey. This is for anybody who is moving to another country. Moving somewhere else, especially to a place that is so far from your home country, as in my case, that I'm from Mexico and then I moved to Turkey. I mean, it can be so hard, so challenging. You will feel lonely at some point. Of course, you're gonna miss your family, your friends, even your food. Some days you're gonna be just crying. It happened to me, especially the first months. It wasn't easy at all. So this is something that I want to share, because many people tend to romanticize the situation that how cool, you're moving to another country, all the best experiences. But also there are so many things that many people do not share on social media or with other people, and this is the sad part of the experience, that most of the time you're gonna feel lonely, that yes, you're gonna feel homesick. And if you're somebody who really tend to feel that very often and cannot detach from your family, it's gonna be hard. I'm not telling you like, no, don't call your parents or your family. No, of course, I mean, at some point you need to call them, but you need to be strong. You need to learn to be alone in a foreign country, because otherwise you are going to make it more difficult for yourself. Don't move to Turkey if you haven't done an extensive research of the country, and mainly in its economical situation. And this is because, as I mentioned before, also the inflation rate is quite high in the country, and it is very important for you that you need to make a well research in advance. For example, how much are currently the rents, how much approximately you're gonna need for the monthly expenses, and for the jobs that you have in mind to perform in Turkey, how much is the approximate salary. So from there you can also make your own decision if whether you come to the country or you just move somewhere else. Because also some people, they just come here and they have some expectations, but they don't have like a very clear idea, and when they see the reality, then they really get shocked, and it's a big down for your for your plan. So please do an extensive research. If you would like to add something else to the list that we didn't mention in the video, please feel free to comment below so others can read it and also benefit from your experiences. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye bye.